Another blood-red sunset and yet another moon phase, and still another 100 miles to my next resting place. Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving.
Hey now all, I'm Joey C. Welcome back to another episode of Spirit Sherpa. This is the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. With me, as always, is the Spirit Doctor, Kelle Sparta. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Joey.
What's shaking?
Oh, don't make me think that hard. I don't know.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I was trying to come up with a good comeback, but, you know, my poor addled brain just was not doing it today.
Well, spring is almost here. That's one thing I'm going to say. I know.
Which is part of the addled brain for me, for the allergies, living in the allergy capital of the U.S. If you didn't know that, Virginia is the allergy capital of the U.S. Nobody told me this before I moved here. Yeah.
I did not know that. That's good to know. We're learning. I'm excited for the nice weather. We actually have snow potentially coming up here in the Northeast this weekend.
That is why I moved.
It's only going to be a little. It's only going to be a little, but gosh, my brain has mentally shifted out of snow. So actually the idea of seeing it is going to be like instant depression. I'm hopeful that it's going to be only a very little.
See, there's generally only about 10 degrees difference between Virginia and Massachusetts. But that 10 degrees is the difference between rain and snow. And that makes all the difference.
And we get all kinds of presents from our friends to the north up in Canada, and they send us down their snow.
Yes, you do. And we don't. Yay.
Oh, boy. If you guys like snow and you're excited when you get snow, or if you're in a place that has never seen snow, why don't you come into the Facebook group and share your snow experiences there?
Ooh, I have pictures from the last time we had big snow in Massachusetts.
Ooh, some big ones.
2015.
Oh, my goodness. That winter was horrible.
Yeah. Foot of snow every week on a Wednesday for 8 weeks. Every Wednesday we got walloped. And the snowbanks were taller than my husband, who is 6'1".
Yeah, that was crazy. And you were living in the city at that time, so that's no fun.
No, they had to truck it out. Yeah, they had to bring dump trucks in and take it and put it out on. That year, the snow did not melt until July 4th or July 8th, something like that. Yeah, the snow pile, and that they brought everything out to.
All right, let's get away from snow because it's making me sad even thinking about it.
You started it.
I know I did. I recognize it. And then it's like sometimes you start something and you get so far into it that you can't stop, but you're already so far into it that anyway. Let's talk about something Spirit Sherpa-y.
Okay. We're going to talk about embodiment.
Yes, exactly. And what does that mean?
Here's the thing. And this is the biggest problem I see with super intelligent people in the spiritual world, is that they live up in their heads. And so all your energy is in your head, and therefore you lose access to your body wisdom. So if you're thinking about your feelings instead of feeling your feelings, you're likely living in your head. You've also likely armored your heart, which is a different issue, but you're probably living in your head. If you're constantly on a thing of what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future, or, you know, if you're not in your space-time moment of now, then you're living in your head. Okay? If you have a plan and a backup plan and a backup plan for your backup plan, you're living in your head. Right? These are all head-based activities. So when you don't have access to your body wisdom, you lose out on things like, so remember years ago, they had the tsunami that hit, I think it was Thailand, and all of the animals were gone from the beach and only the stupid humans were still there. It's because they didn't have access to their body wisdom. The animals had access to their body wisdom, and the body wisdom said, you don't want to be here. Okay. And that's just sort of the nature of the beast, right? Is that it doesn't tell you why. It just goes, leave. And you just go. And if you're smart, you listen. You don't override it, which is what a lot of us do if we have access to it at all. Is that we'll go, oh, well, logically speaking, no. When your body goes, leave, you leave. It's just, you need to listen, especially if it's an urgent leave now thing, right? I just have a bad feeling. I have a really bad feeling. I need to be somewhere else. Okay, go be somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe a meteor is about to land on your head. Go be somewhere else, right? You don't have to understand it to listen to it. In fact, you won't understand it, and you should listen to it. So that's the primary thing, right? Is it's a safety mechanism that your body is connected into the rest of the earth. And you have access to the earth's wisdom through your body if you will actually stay in it. So the other challenge is that a lot of us from challenged childhoods tend to dissociate. And if our lives have been hard enough, we will dissociate all the time, right? We'll live sort of halfway out of our bodies. We're like constantly. So if you have an obsession with doing meditations that take you out of your body and into spirit, and you just want to get there and stay there, that is because you're trying to dissociate from your body all the time. And it is unrealistic to expect that you're going to be able to operate in the physical world and pay your bills and feed yourself and all the other things and stay in spirit. So the solution to that is to get comfortable with being in your body. And that's a process depending upon what's happened to you, right? I mean, let me be really clear. There's a lot of good reasons why some people's trauma has kept them from their bodies. Okay. So I'm not saying that there isn't a good reason, but I'm saying that if you want access to your body wisdom, and if you want access to some of the other stuff I'm going to talk about, then you're going to have to figure out how to do that. And if you're not in your body, you will have a hard time manifesting. You'll have a hard time making decent money. You'll have a hard time being able to connect with another human on a deep level. There's going to be a lot of things that aren't going to really work well because you're not actually in your body. And being in your body also, as I said, requires being in the present moment. So if you are not present, if you're living in the potential future or the past, then you're not going to be able to be embodied because your energy is going forward and back in time, right? And so these are all the reasons to be embodied, right? Let's talk about what the benefits are of embodiment, okay? So when you're embodied, you get access to that earth wisdom because the embodied aspect is the physical reality, right? So earth is in a physical form. Our bodies are in physical form. Therefore, they are connected on that physicality level, right? Now, in addition to that, you have other ways of making use of your body wisdom, okay? Kinesiology is a classic example of this. So kinesiology, if you've never heard of it, is the act of asking your body whether or not something is good for you and using your body to give you an answer. So you could use a dowsing rod, you could use a pendulum, but what if you don't have a tool with you, right? You go to the supermarket, you pick something up off the shelf and you go, I don't know if this is right for me. How do you know? Well, you use kinesiology. So kinesiology can be purely energetic. So you could take the item off the shelf, hold it over your heart, and ask if it's good for you, and then feel your body. If your energy goes up, it's good for you. If your energy goes down, it's not good for you. Now, some people won't feel up or down. Some people will find that they lean forward if it's good for them, and they lean back if it's not.
You just got to figure out what works for you.
Exactly. And so one of the things that you do first with kinesiology is you ask your body, give me a yes. And you ask it to give you a yes. And you have to pay attention to everything. I walk people through this all the time, and they go, I didn't feel anything. I just felt this. And I'm like, that's it, right? If you say, I didn't feel anything, I just felt, whatever comes after I just felt is your answer. Okay. And so it's really funny how people just discard what their response is. And that's because you don't spend a lot of time in your body, right? So you say, give me a yes. And then you say, give me a no. And whatever the thing is that happens then, even if it's, it's just, right, is the answer. And then you take whatever it is and you hold it up to your body and you ask, is this good for me? Is this good for me? And then you get a yes or a no. Okay. You always want to ask the positive version of the question. Is this going to be bad for me? Would be complicated. So you want to ask the positive version of the question, not the negative version. And then that way, your body has an easier answer process. The other way you can do it is you can actually use your fingers to do it. So you can take your thumb and your index, or not your thumb and your middle finger, and then you loop your thumb and your middle finger from the other hand through the first hand. And again, you start with, give me a yes, and you pull. And if you can't pull your fingers through easily, then that's yes. And give me a no. And your fingers will pull apart easily. And when you pull on them with the same amount of pressure. Okay. And then you can test yes or no answers that way. Okay. That's a version of body wisdom. Okay. That's another benefit to being in your body. We all have body wisdom. And those of us who come from challenged childhoods, there's a part of our body wisdom that we actually do recognize on a regular basis. And that's the part that happens when we're being hooked or manipulated. We feel that. When you start to feel icky around someone, when you start to feel like they're trying to push you around with their words, they're literally trying to push you around with their energy. Okay, and that's it. Your body goes, ew, I don't like this. This sucks, right? And so that's another way your body wisdom can kick in. And we're attuned to that because that happened in our childhoods, right? So even if we're half out of our bodies on a regular basis, we usually pick up on that, right? Another thing that we pick up on is energy vampires. Right. And we did an entire episode on energy vampires. So if you don't know what that is, there's an episode on it. But the people who suck your energy, your body will be like, I don't like being around this person. I don't want to be around them. Right. Your body will say that. And that's because your body is losing energy to it. Okay. There are other ways in which our bodies speak to us. Okay. And attraction is a classic one. Right? So attraction is your body going, this feels familiar. This feels like home. This feels good. Right? I'm comfortable here. It doesn't mean that it's a good relationship. It just means that your body recognizes this energy and is attracted to it because it fulfills the hole that was left by the previous relationship that had that energy. And so this is why we typically repeat our patterns from our childhood into our romantic relationships. So we tend to go from needy parents to needy partners, or domineering parents to domineering partners, right? Because it fills that hole. Then there's that comfort zone that comes from that energy connection that your body picks up on and goes, ooh, right? And, this is why I used to teach Tantra classes years ago. And one of the things that I used to talk about was the energetics of attraction and how you can actually program yourself to be attracted to different energies and different people.
To break you out of the cycle.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's about expanding your willingness to receive attraction from different areas. And you can't do that if you're not in your body. Okay. You in order to be attached to your attraction factor, your attraction energy, you have to be in your body to do that.
And Tantra seems like a practice that you need to be in your body in general.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to practice Tantra, you've got to be embodied. There's just there's no way around that. So, but the pieces of embodiment are, they're very subtle. So about 10% of the population is kinesthetic, meaning that they get their information through their body, through movement, through doing, through experiencing. Okay. The rest of us are audio or visual learners, right? Kinesthetic learners are always in their body. Okay. They're just, well, I shouldn't say that. They're not always in their body, but they're more often in their body than the average person. Okay. I find that a lot of people with kinesthetic sensibilities, they will leave their bodies, but they tend to do it as I need a break from people thing. But the rest of us, the 90%, we tend to think things to death. Okay. And so if you're looking to get into your body, which is a valuable thing to do, what you need to do is you first need to be able to bring your entire energy into your body. So if you're living your life half out of your body and you're half into spirit and you're half in your body, then you're not going to be grounded. Okay. So the very first thing to do is to do some grounding exercises. The tree meditation is excellent for this. We've talked about it ad nauseum on here because it's so important. And if you don't have it, it is on the YouTube channel. It's on my YouTube channel. Just go look it up. Just all you got to do is Google tree meditation Kelle Sparta and it'll come up. And the tree meditation is great for getting you into your body and getting you grounded and for running energy in a consistent fashion, right? Then the challenge becomes getting out of your head, right? So is your spirit fully in your body? And then are you living in your head and not being conscious of your body? Because what happens when you live in your head is you completely forget that your body exists. I am speaking to all of you who know you have to pee, but have not gotten up to go because you're just going to get one more thing done. Right? And you will then go into a trance that will pass an entire hour before your bladder screams loud enough to get you to notice it again. Okay? If that's you, then you're in your head.
And you're certainly ignoring your body.
Right. Okay? And if you have pain and you block it out and it's just gone, you have left your body. Okay? When you come back to it, if it's still there, you're like, oh, yep, I wasn't here. Okay. So getting out of your head is more complicated. It takes, the grounding, super easy, right? Getting out of your head, first off, requires lowering your anxiety levels. Because if you are anxious, you will be up in your head until the cows come home. Because your worries are just going to go blah, 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 blah. The monkey mind's just going to chatter and chatter and chatter and chatter and what if and what if and what if and what. Has it ever occurred to anybody how the monkey mind what ifs all the horrible things, but it never what ifs all the good things that could happen too? Yeah, that part just sort of blows my brain. But anyway, so you got to get your anxiety level down. Okay, and so that's the first thing you have to do. The next thing is about getting all the crap out of your head. Okay. For those of us who are planners, I have a client that I talked to this week, actually, and she's planning an international move. And she's just got like list upon list upon list upon list of things that she has to get done. And I'm like, yeah, you got to write that shit down. Because if you don't write it down, you're just going to run the list over and over and over and over and over and over and over in your head so that you don't forget anything. The minute you write it down, you've got it on paper or in your phone or whatever. And now it's someplace where you can refer to it and you don't have to worry about forgetting it. And so that's going to reduce the spin factor of the brain, right? And so that's the second piece, is getting out of the spin factor, getting all the random extraneous crap out of your head and onto paper, so that the paper can hold it for you instead of your brain having to hold it for you. And I got to tell you, the older you get, the less energy you have for that. Okay. Let me just say, I used to be able to hold all that crap in my head when I was in my 20s. Not so much now. Gonna check myself. Oh, I'm gonna have to cut that piece out. Ugh. Okay. So now that you've gotten the anxiety down to a reasonable level and you've gotten all of the random crap onto paper, right? Now it's about becoming aware of how present you are. Okay? Because depending on how many trigger points you have, how many buttons you have that get pushed on a semi-regular basis, you may spend a fair amount of time wishing for things to be different or being pissed that they weren't different before, right? And so then it's about doing your personal work to clear those things. Okay. The wishing for things to be different in the future is often fantasy thinking. That's an indicator that we're in our inner child. Our inner children have fabulous fantasy lives. Okay. And I'm going to go back to the dating example here, because this is where it shows up most often. You meet this amazing new person and suddenly you're envisioning your entire life together, and when you're getting married and where you're going to live and how things are going to go. And you've had one date, right? It's unrealistic, right? And it also will set you up to fail in that relationship. So just a small comment there. That's your inner child is looking for their safety zone. That's what's happening in that scenario. And so if you're engaging in fantasy thinking, and this happens in relationships and it happens in business, right? So I see this all the time with entrepreneurs. Oh, I'm going to make $1 million. It's like, okay, how are you going to do that? Oh, well, I'm just going to do this. I had this conversation with someone. She was opening a retail store and I was concerned. I was like, well, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. How are you going to get clients? Oh, well, I'm going to bring in contractors to do services in the store. I'm like, okay, but how are you going to get clients?
Physically.
Well, yeah. And she's like, oh, well, but they're going to be there. And I'm like, no, how are you going to get people to come in and buy things? She's like, well, I'm doing this. I'm like, that is not going to do it. I'm going to tell you right now, that is not going to do it. How are you going to sell stuff? Well, and she was in this fantasy thinking. And I'm like, this is not going to work.
I would call that field of dreams thinking. If you build it, they will come. It doesn't always work.
Correct. And, in fact, it rarely works.
Right.
Okay? It almost never works.
Unless you're Kevin Costner. Unless
you're Kevin Costner and, you live in a fantasy world. But so, this sort of thing is indicative of not being in your body in the present moment, because you're like fantasizing about how shit's going to go down, right? So, these behaviors keep us out of our body, okay? Once you can address the things that are pulling you forward or pulling you back, then you can start a presence practice where you learn how to just be where you are. Okay. And when you learn how to be where you are, then you're going to learn how to be in your body. Okay. There's a reason I've waited 3 years almost to have this conversation with you guys, because this is a more advanced skill. Okay. When we work with people, the first thing we work with them on is getting the stress levels down, right? And then we work on getting solid in yourself. And then we work on clearing out the triggers. And during the trigger work, you start to learn how to embody. And so it's a process, right? But the embodiment piece, if you've ever seen a man or a woman or non-binary, doesn't matter. If you've ever seen a person who really was in their body and really knew their body so well, and you could tell that they just loved their body, okay? They are charismatic as hell. They just draw you to them. There is a magnetism to them that makes people just stop and stare. And they don't even know why they're staring all the time. They don't have to be attractive. Let me be clear about that. I mean, when I'm fully in my body, I have walked down Boston's streets and fully in my body and had, young guys who are college age. I'm 51. And college age guys are turning and staring. And then I catch them halfway through the stare going, why am I staring at that fat chick? It's like, they get really confused. And I'm going, I know why you're staring at the fat chick. It's because I'm fully embodied and I am owning my body and my sexuality and my beingness. And that's compelling, right? And so, it doesn't matter what you look like. It's about the full integration of self that goes into the embodiment process, right? Now, there are additional benefits that can come out of this as well. You can become a better channel. You can be better at connecting with other people. You have better sex. It's just, there's a lot of really great things about being embodied.
And just the ability to be in the moment has got to be huge, because you can't do that when you're in the clouds. You can't do that when you're in your head. You have to be in your body, like you said, to do that. So just the ability to be present is such a wonderful thing for focusing on doing it.
Especially today when everybody's in their phones. I mean, it has gotten so much harder since the smartphone came out to be present. And I speak as someone who knew how to be present before that happened. And I will say it is harder. And so we're fighting an uphill battle with these smartphones. So taking time away from your screens is another great way to learn how to be more present, because your screens they are enabling your distraction culture, your distraction default. We are by default distracted right now. So more time away from your screens is better.
Well, this is great. I know that I've got some work to do with being able to focus. You brought up the phone. I rarely go even a couple minutes without just checking the screen. Is someone looking for me? Do I need to do something? Is it time for some scheduled event? So I completely get that. And there's some important stuff there about getting out of your head and into your body.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to teach us about embodiment before we head towards the wrapping up of the episode?
Well, so I want to mention, and, I know that a lot of people may not have businesses here, that are listening, but I do want to mention it to the people who do, that embodiment really impacts your ability to do your business too. It will tell you when things are off. You can feel when something's not right. You will be able to connect with other people in a different way. You're going to make better sales if you're present, because nobody wants to talk to somebody who isn't present, and they're certainly not going to buy big packages from them if they're not present. So there's a lot of ways in which this is part of what you need to learn in order to run your business more effectively as well. I also have a Facebook group called Using Energetics to Make Your Business Easier. So you may want to come and join that. And I have a program. If you know that your business is being limited by your own issues or by energetics or by ancestral stuff or by family stuff or, anything along those lines, if you keep hitting a glass ceiling that on your income and you don't know why and there's no good reason, if your business won't take off and you just can't figure out why because you've done everything that everybody's ever told you to do and it's still not working, this is the perfect time to come in and do the Energetics of Business program. And you can find the details about that on the website. And you can actually get a business energy audit for free. If you scroll to the bottom of that page and click on it, it'll give you an opportunity to get 30 minutes with me to talk about what's going on in your business and how it's being impacted. And let me do a little diagnostic, right? We don't talk about this stuff around business very much. And in fact, I don't know anybody else who's talking about it at all, to be honest. If you do and you know somebody, please email me and let me know because I don't know anybody who's talking about this, but it's super important and it's made all the difference for my business as I've gone through and done my work, right? So it's just food for thought.
And they can go to kellesparta.com and then get signed up there to be able to get into the program, get the energy audit that you mentioned with you. All of that's there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And that's available now.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay.
So Kellyism before we wrap.
You do this to me every time. And you would think after 145 episodes, I would have something prepared. All right, hold on. Give me a second. Oh, what's coming up for me is a poem I wrote ages ago called I Am the Luscious Goddess. We're not going to use that.
I think that actually says it all. Speaking of being in your body.
Well, let's not use that one. Okay. You're not on the planet alone. Your body is in partnership with you. Listen to it and it'll serve you well.
Awesome. All right. Well, that is all that we have for this week. But be sure to join us next time as Kelle adds another chapter into your guide to energy, magic, and the spirit world. I am Joey C., here with Kelle Sparta, and you have been listening to Spirit Sherpa. So long, everyone.
Bye.
Each mile I travel over 13,000 now.
Spirit Sherpa is the sole property of Kelle Sparta Enterprises and is distributed under a Creative Commons BY-NC-ND 4.0 license. For more information about this licensing, please go to www.creativecommons.org. Any requests for deviations to this licensing should be sent to kelly@kellesparta.com. To sign up for or get more information on the programs, offerings, and services referenced in this episode, please go to www.kellesparta.com. This episode of Spirit Sherpa has been produced by Honu Voice Productions, with post-production by Christopher Wright.
Into my home.